Thanks guys, thanks for tuning in. I really want to talk to you today about a thing we're calling red zone training, or that I'm calling red zone training. It's high-end scenario training that tries to recreate as many aspects of an actual emergency response for a pool lifeguard. Because what we find is these days New Zealand centres are incredibly safe. So pool lifeguards don't get a lot of opportunities to roll through their emergency action plan like, for instance, the surf lifesavers may on PR rescue. So what we do find is they still do a lot of training, but we do it under ideal conditions, like on a carpeted floor, in an air-conditioned room, with the instructor correcting them the whole way through. So they don't actually learn good decision-making processes, and they certainly, and the environment's just not realistic. So, but that's a good environment for learning something new, but for testing how good you are at those procedures, we should be trying to do them in some really emotive kind of environments, and that's what red zone training is. So the first lifeguards in New Zealand to have done red zone training are the lifeguards at the Matamata swim zone. We were there during the week, and we had about 12 lifeguards do the training, and Tracy from NZRA attended as well, just to see what the fuss was about, and she's taken some great video which you guys will see in a minute. So we do about a 3-hour training course. It's about as long as we sort of allow for it. It's a little bit of time in a theory room talking about what our flight or fright mode is and what happens to us when we hit flight or fright, and that kind of stuff. The second part of the theory is about an emergency action plan. What kind of things should we prioritise if we're the first lifeguard on the scene, or the second, or the third, or a deck supervisor? What should be our real priorities? And I suppose the main thing I'd get at there is most of the emergency action plans I see these days are probably too complicated. We know from some good research that under pressure, you'll probably only remember 4 things. So if we're giving lifeguards an emergency action plan that has lifeguard 1 with 10 things they have to do, we just know we're probably setting them up to fail. So we talk about an emergency action plan and what kind of things they really want to be hitting on the way through that event. The third part of the day is just going out there and putting them into these emotive scenes. After they finish their scenario, we step back and have a look at the mess that the scene's in, with AEDs and sticky pads and vomit and a mannequin and towels and shirts that have been cut off the mannequin and all that kind of stuff. And then I have a talk to them I talk to the team first about what was hard. People who are watching these scenarios don't realise how hard it is to work under those conditions, where you don't have an instructor saying your chest compressions aren't quite deep enough. Sometimes they make really big mistakes and they go way off track, but I don't correct them. At some stage they'll realise they've made a mistake and they'll make this big correction back on track, and that's where the learning process really happens for them. So they talk about what was hard, they talk about the mistakes they made, and I'm really supportive of mistakes. If you don't make mistakes in this training, we learn nothing, okay? Great place to learn what we can do better is in training, rather than trying to explain why we didn't know this to a coroner, for instance. After we've asked the team what could have been done better, we asked the bystanders, who are the other lifeguards who are watching, and then I've got some notes I've been making as well. We can talk about what was hard, what we could do better, and what we learned. Because we do learn real things. One of the things is I put goggles on my mannequin, because we've never told lifeguards that when you bring a small child out of the water, you have to take their goggles off, or you can't get a pocket mask to seal on their face. So these things they struggle with. They can't get chest rise, and eventually they'll figure out that it's the goggles that aren't letting them get a seal on their pocket mask. So little things like that we probably all should have known that we're now learning. So they arrive at the training very apprehensive. They know they don't know their emergency action plan well enough, and I don't tell them what it is. It's up to them to figure it out along the way, and that's when the real learning happens. They start very anxious, they end puffing and blowing and saying things like, we should do that more often. And yeah, they should, they enjoy it, they've got the skills, they've got the training, they just need to start to applying these skills in an environment that's difficult. They do find out that applying those, they're worlds apart doing your skills in a carpeted training room as opposed to on a pool deck all wet with a mannequin covered in vomit. They're very confronting places, they're very difficult places to work, And I really think the more we can make it realistic for them, the more they'll enjoy it, the better they'll become at the first responder role.